Yeah, good morning. Yeah. Welcome back to another balmy Western Pennsylvania day.
One way to describe it.
17 degrees. Aren't we supposed to warm up today, though?
That's what I heard as well.
Well, we're 2 days away from Christmas. Wonder where my 3 French hens are.
You don't get no French hens.
Maybe I'm due to get turtle doves.
Maybe you will get turtle doves if you were lucky.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the show. This is episode 663 of the Two Dumb Yinzers. I want to say to everybody this morning, welcome. Today is in fact the 52 years since the Immaculate Reception. Good morning, Field of Steel. 52 years ago today, the Immaculate Reception took place. Franco Harris, of course, he passed about 2 years ago. I think right around, it was either on or right around that 50-year anniversary mark.
Yeah.
But 52 years ago today, the Immaculate Reception.
Wow.
So
I wasn't
there you
even
go.
born yet, so it's my fault for everything that has befallen the Steelers since then.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Obviously.
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, welcome back to the show. A lot of good things going on today. And despite taking the L over the weekend, which wasn't the worst thing in the world, guys. Come on. Let's face it. We could be in a lot worse shape than we are, right? We're in first place. We have the tiebreaker. We're still going to go into the playoffs. We didn't move in the playoff positioning at all. So now the games get really important. We took these 3 games and we said, let's take these 3 games and let's act like it's a playoff situation. Oof. 3 really good teams. Let's take a look what we can do. Well, I got to tell you, so far it's not so good. However, just like if you're watching the stocks, zoom out a little bit. Don't just look at last game in Baltimore. Don't just look at the last 2 games in Baltimore and Philadelphia. Zoom out. We are again in first place. We are again in the playoffs. We are 10-5. We still can win the division. Yeah, something very discouraging about what happened over the past 2 weeks, of course. Just the way we were able to, how we performed against these 2 teams. However, if we could get, maybe some of these guys back from injury. And again, I'm not, listen, it's not an excuse. Everybody has injuries, but yeah, I'm talking about us.
Yeah.
If we could get these guys back, which Mike Tomlin came out and said, he said that these guys, he said Fields, Elliott, Jackson, Pickens, and Larry O all have a real shot to play this week. Joey Porter and Skoranek, they're both questionable. That's where we're at right now. So not a lot of time to prepare between the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs game. So the guys are hard at work getting prepared, getting ready. This game, the national people, they're literally the only people. The national people are out saying this. They're saying the Steelers might be the only team that could beat the Chiefs.
Ugh.
I don't know what that means, and I don't know where they get it, but I'll take it. And if they come out here in 45 and a half hours and get this win, we'll be super excited heading into the last game of the season. But again, guys, we're still in first place by a tiebreaker. We're still in the playoffs. We still have a chance to win the division. We took 2 L's. And I got to tell you, you got to feel better about the 2 L's we took late in the season, more better than you did about the 2 L's we took at the end of last season. Matter of fact, we took 3 of them: Indianapolis, New England, and somebody else that was terrible. Yeah. Arizona.
Yeah, Arizona.
So if we lose these 2, you got to think that we're probably still further ahead than we were last year. Of course, you've seen our quarterback from last year. He went over and got the L for Philadelphia 1 week after we played them, which would have been nice if it could have been during the week that we played them. But Philly got some issues now, a quarterback concussion. So, I mean, everybody got issues. Everybody has problems. And at the end of the day, we won those games early, Mike, when we said, let's go out and win early, stack wins.
Yeah.
And that way, at the end of the season, when we get to that tough part of the schedule, a loss won't be as effective. And guess what? That proved to be the case so far.
Yeah.
Now, this game,
I was going to say,
yeah,
because everyone, when we saw the schedule come out, knew this was going to be the hardest part. And like you said, everyone predicting, like, for the Steelers to have any success this season, you had to have it early because it was a murderer's row coming up. And, it's proving true. And, thankfully, they got some of those early season victories in under their belt. Because right now, with the injuries stacking up and the defense kind of slipping, the offense kind of slipping, it was a good thing. Good thing we got them in early.
and yeah, we got screwed.
A lot
But
of
you know
teams
what?
did.
So did the Chiefs. So did the
Yeah.
Ravens. And so did the Texans. So at the end of next week, we'll take a look, see, and we'll see who went 2-0, who went 1-1, who went 0-2. It's still not over. So again, we can get a little help by the Houston Texans this week if they could pull off a win against Baltimore, which it's plausible. Baltimore just came off a huge win over the Steelers. So if they could, maybe put maybe just maybe beat them guys, then maybe a possible win against Kansas. Listen, there's a lot of maybes, a lot of ifs. We'll get over that. We'll go over that today, tomorrow, heading into the Christmas Day showdown at 1:00 p.m. against the Kansas City Chiefs. Guys, after Wednesday, listen, a couple of days from now, we're only gonna have one game left in the season, which is mind blowing to me. That's right, one game after Christmas is over. It'll be the Cincinnati Bengals, who are still fighting for their playoff lives, with another win yesterday and some playoff implications. The Dolphins, the Colts, and the Bengals all managed to win over the weekend, so they're all still alive. So, we could be in a lot worse position. We could be in a position of one of these teams waiting for somebody to lose, waiting for two teams to lose, waiting for two teams to lose, and we have to win two in a row. We're not in bad shape. Now, with that being said, just the overall performance of this team is something that you might be a little bit
Yeah.
concerned about moving forward. We just got blown out by a couple touchdowns to Philly, a couple touchdowns and a field goal to Baltimore. How's that going to fare when the playoffs come? I don't know. I don't know. I don't have an answer, but again, we have to play it by ear, and we'll see how it goes. Let's get into this Ravens Chiefs game because the sooner we get into it, the sooner we can put it behind
Mhm.
us. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they dropped the game to the Baltimore Ravens. I believe it was 34-17. I'm looking at its team stats. It's not that far off. They had us beat by about 100 yards in overall yardage, but in the passing game, we both threw for 198 yards.
It felt
Uh,
like they had more.
it sure did. In the running game, they had us beat
Yeah,
220 to 117. That
that
was
was killer.
first downs 25-19, their favor. Third downs, we were both 4 for 10. Number of plays, they ran 62, we ran 60. We had 3 sacks, they had 1. We punted the ball 5 times, they punted 3 times. Penalties stayed low in this game, which is a surprise to
Yeah.
me because Baltimore is the most penalized team in the league. They managed to get 2 penalties for 10 yards.
Yeah.
We got 5 for 29. We lost a fumble. They lost no fumbles, even though they fumbled many times. We threw an interception. It ended up being a costly interception, and time of possession was only about 5-minute difference. They had 32-25. We had 27-35. We lost this game. There's no, you can't go back and say, that we got ripped off by the
No.
referees. You can't go back and say, you can't say anything. We went out and we lost this football game. And I got to be honest with you, after being 8 out of the last 9, I wasn't surprised. I was expecting at some point the Baltimore Ravens to beat us, and I would be disappointed if they didn't. Because again, in rivalry, you like to have both teams win some games. Obviously, we want the Steelers to win all the time, but at the end of the day, it is a heated rival, and it's amazing to me that we got that far without them beating us anyway. So it breaks down the very first loss in that 8 of 9 dropped out to make a new space for the new loss. So if you're counting 10 games, we did win 8 of the last 10. So if you're looking at their last 10 meetings, we did win 8. They won 2. So poo-poo on Baltimore. They got their win. They got the monkey off of Lamar Jackson's back. They could calm down now. Again, we go off to play the Chiefs at home. And also Baltimore plays Houston on Wednesday as well, guys. Should be 2 big football games with a lot of meaning. I do want to make a quick announcement, guys. This is the Christmas announcement that we promised you guys last week. Tomorrow, that's right, on tomorrow's show, former Pittsburgh Steeler and Super Bowl champion Chucky Jacoby will be here with the gang talking about the current state of the Steelers, the league, and what Chucky's doing. So our friend Chucky Jacoby will be here tomorrow. We do hope you join us on Christmas Eve. It'll be a lot of fun. It'll be our Christmas episode. Can't wait to talk to Mr. Jacoby.
Can't wait. I'm fired up for that
Mike. Getting back into these statistics here a little bit, Mike, Russell Wilson went 22 for 33, 217 yards, 2 touchdowns, and interception. Warren had 12 carries, 48 yards. Najee had 9 carries, 42 yards. Austin had 4 catches for 65 yards. Patterson and Pruitt both had touchdowns. KZ had 7 tackles. Queen led the way with 8 tackles. It was 4-4. Highsmith had a sack. And Minka, the big complaint piece last week, did get something done, and he got an interception, which it could have been cost. Could have went in the right direction. It just didn't. I think we ended up giving it right back or something, and whatever.
Pick 6.
For the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson had 15 of 23, 207 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Henry had 24 carries, 162 yards. Their leading receiver was Zay Flowers with 5 catches, 100 yards. Andrews, Likely, and Bateman all had a touchdown. Roquan Smith had 10 tackles, 5 and 5. Marlon Humphrey had an interception, and Tucker this time around didn't miss. He goes 2 for 2 in the game against the Steelers. I don't know about you, Mike, but to me, this felt a lot closer than how the feel of the Philadelphia Eagles game went. The Eagles game was one of these, you're running in molasses. You just can't get the momentum in your favor. Nothing goes your way. At the end of the day, you just lose the football game. This didn't feel like that to me. However, we lost by more points in this particular game. This felt like a Ravens-Steeler game. It was 17-10 at halftime. We scored right before the half, draw it back within 7. I thought this is going to be a classic 27-24, give or take, as it usually is. But Baltimore in the second half, I mean, we made some decisions that probably shouldn't have been made. We made some mistakes that probably would have been better if we didn't make. And a few things happened, and this team ends up beating us 34-17. Again, I'm having a hard time being pissed. I expected these guys to beat us at some point, Mike. I really did. And again, if we lose against Kansas City Wednesday, I might be singing a whole different tune. But right now, again, we're in first place. We're in the playoffs. We still have the edge to win the division. We have the tiebreaker of the Ravens. So if you zoom out a little bit, things don't look as bad as they may seem.
Yeah, and you zoom out even further into like the NFL landscape. You saw what Philly lose. Did Buffalo last? They didn't look the sharpest as well. So they're it's not pretty around the NFL landscape. And in this game right here, Baltimore just out executed the Steelers. That's what it felt like. They just played better. They made the plays when they needed to, and we couldn't. The bounces went their way. In that first game, every time they fumbled, we were able to recover. This time, every time they fumbled, they were able to hop right back on. So this is the way it goes sometimes. Sometimes, the other team is just a little crisper, and the bounces go your way. And like you said, it did feel like a close game up until the Russ fumble, up until the Russ pick 6. It was a close game, and just a couple bad breaks our way. That out route that Russ throws, he throws that all the time. Never seen him that off target with it. And shit happens. It brought back memories of when
the Russ I seen last year.
No, go ahead.
Mike, last year when I watched the Denver Broncos, this was the same Russell I seen. This was the Russell that I came and I said, oh, yeah, he played like this in Denver. And I was told, well, you know what? He wasn't happy. He didn't, whatever his problem was out there. But this was the guy that I saw when I watched him play last year in Denver. And this is why I was worried. Of course, we know that he can play better. We've seen him play better. But I fear that this is going to be the Russ that we see come Buffalo, come Kansas City, come, any meaningful game in the playoffs. Mike, is there anything to make people think that this is not going to be the performance we see in the playoffs?
We'll be getting George Pickens back. That's, once George comes back, this offense will be a whole hell of a lot better. You see, like, since he hasn't played, the offense production has gone down. Like half the passing yards gone down because now they don't have to. Teams don't have to aren't forced to cover George. They're not forced to put more people on him. Now guys are getting double teamed who usually are getting single coverage. Coverages are rotating towards Pickens. Once he comes back, that's going to change again. We're going to be up over that 250 yards passing a game instead of being like a buck 90 the past 2 weeks. So, and then that's going to open it up for him. And he's still spreading the ball. He spread the ball around this game. He made some like the pick and the that fumble. Those are two horrible decisions right there. I don't mind the aggressiveness on the run. You see pay dirt, but at that point to slide, get down. That pass is a little off target. That's something we've seen him how many times make that pass to Darnell Washington in the flat. And this time it was just off target. But I think once you get George back, this offense is going to be a whole hell of a lot better. We saw it with George, man. This offense is a production offense. Without him, it's not. And I tell you what, though, real quick to piggyback off what I was saying. Now that you look at Calvin Austin has grown these past 2 weeks, like over 100,
not in height, but in skill.
So that's going to give. Like we get George back. Now you have Calvin Austin, who's more or less taking that number 2 spot. Okay, now you can see like this offense last 2 games should be able to pick it back up. Hopefully, with George coming back in there.
Week 17, we're finally gaining an identity,
we finally got a number 2 receiver, baby.
But Mike, you did mention George Pickens on go route since 2022. He has a 96.4 receiving grade. He has 20 catches in that period of time on go routes, which is first in the NFL, and also 719 receiving yards in that same amount of time, which is first overall. So yes, of course, George Pickens is a huge part of this offense. If you think otherwise, I don't know what you're talking about. But as I said, Mike Tomlin did say that Fields, Elliott, Jackson, Pickens, and Larry O, they all have a real shot to play. But again, Porter and Skoranek both questionable at this point. I mean, we were playing with basically no secondary. None of our starters were in it. I mean, with the exception of Minka, we had 3 guys out with injury. That come on, that's damning. And it does. And people are going to say, everybody has injuries. And again, yes, I do acknowledge that. But at the end of the day, that's part of what played a big part of it. You have three quarters of your secondary out against a team that's considered one of the best passing teams and best offenses. That's certainly going to affect things. But guys, it was what it was. We ended up losing again. I'm not. It's not the worst thing ever. Let's get to a couple of these comments, Mike, before we do move on. Let me start. I'm going to say good morning to Brian as well on the board. Brian says, I hope you guys lead into the show. Talking about Watt's disappearing act versus the Ravens. Phil Steele says, not going to win a wild card game with this offense, 3 and outs, and no one is stepping up.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree with you more. Brian also says Mason also got the L for the Titans. Corey Trice looked bad on his debut. And Phil Steele says, Ratbird offense scored, Steeler offense effed it up. Again, period. No, you're right. No complaints. 2 Rings Montana, good morning to you on the board. He says, how many times have you beat the Ravens when they had a bunch of injuries? That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying I'm not bothered by the situation. We beat the Ravens. We beat the Ravens with starters many times. We beat them without starters many times. That's why I'm trying to point out the fact that I don't. That's not an excuse to me. I'm fine with this. Again, zoom out. We're okay. We just have to figure out, as we move forward, how we're going to adjust. And, let's get healthy, get into the playoffs, and try to make some noise. Again, get that first home game by winning the division. Yeah. You might get somebody that you could beat. I don't know. Let's again. This kind of threw things into the wrench into the clockwork. But at the end of the day, did you really expect when you're looking down the line at this schedule at the beginning of the year to go and just blow through these games without any problem? I don't think anybody did. Mm-hmm. So it be what it be. We won a bunch of games. We allowed ourselves a little wiggle room. We are in first place. We have a slight tiebreaker, but a lot worse in our court. We don't have to depend on anybody. So, again, it could be a lot worse. And our injuries do seem to be getting better moving forward here. And if certainly not this week, I think by Cincinnati. And if not then, definitely by the playoffs. But at the end of the day, it could be a lot. There's literally two teams in our conference. Not as bad as we've been the past 2 weeks. There's only two teams that's better off than we are. So put that into consideration as well.
Yeah, we'll
guys, let's move forward. What's that, Mike?
I said we'll take it.
We'll take it. Let's talk about the plays here, guys, that that we'll hear a lot about over this next week, next couple of days at least. I think this is going to be gone. This is going to leave so many people's minds so fast. It's holidays, it's Christmas. People are hustling around, they're bustling, they're trying to get Christmas stuff ready. You got Kansas City in 2 days. I think this is going to be out of people's minds so quick. And you know what? Again, it's a Raven rivalry. They should win at some point. So, whatever.
Yeah. It sucks. It sucks because we were rolling in the 2-game losing streak right here, but we had 2-game losing streak earlier in the season. We bounced back, but now it's a little bit tougher with the next two quarterbacks we got to play against. But we'll see. That's why you play the games, man.
That's it.
That's why you play them.
Again, a game 52 years ago that we weren't expected to win, called the Immaculate Reception, happened, and you know what? We won. So let the guys play the game. Good morning to Roger. Roger on the board. Roger, it's good to zoom out. And yes, we had injuries, but the trend of this team is horrible decision-making, like going down forward on fourth down. I was just about to get into that. My three peeves of this game, which there are many more. Don't get me wrong. I think the peeves is the list of peeves is long, but I think obviously the Wilson fumble is everybody's first pet peeve. A lot of people felt that he could have slid. He should have slid. I mean, you're the quarterback. I understand going for all the gusto. He wanted the touchdown. He's seen it. That guy moved in pretty quick on him. Don't get me wrong. That being number one. Number two, the pick six is never good. Never good. You see it all the time in sports. Yeah. You've seen Penn State take advantage of it on Saturday.
Oh, yeah, we did.
We'll get into that a little bit more later. But, that obviously. Now, this one here, I know Mike and I kind of very different opinions on. I don't know how much, but enough. I thought that the 4th and 5 bomb in the fourth quarter down by 7 was not a good idea. As Tom Brady stated on this show, which I don't generally agree with the nasally freak, but I agree. You do pin them back in their zone and hope that your defense can do its job and try to still continue to play field position, especially only being down by 7 at that point in the fourth quarter. I think that was my third peeve of the game that I really thought those three situations during the course of the game I wish would have changed and maybe could have changed the game. I don't know, but it was Wilson's fumble inside the 5, the pick 6, and then the 4th down and 5 bomb. Mike, what about you? Anything in this game stand out to you that certainly was we could have done without?
7 runs from Derrick Henry of 10 plus yards or more. Could have done without that. Those were killer. The interior defensive line was atrocious. I mean, god awful. They couldn't do anything.
And that wasn't because they didn't have Larry O, right? That was just bad play by the.
That was just bad play, bad execution. I think Larry O is a much better run stuffer than Travis Adams, but he can't be that much better. I mean, that was just a bad showing all around. Because once they started hitting the inside runs and then not being able to stop the read option.
I don't think Larry O, Mike, is changing this from a 220-yard rushing performance.
No, for the first game, we were able to keep them in check, force them out of the run game. They couldn't do that. That was one of my biggest pet peeves of this game, is just getting it, no one can stop those middle runs. The pick 6, that happens. Like I said earlier, Rush has been hitting that pass all season long. Just picked the inopportune time to be off target on that one. The slide, I get where Russ is coming from. Like, he was feeling it that game. He felt like he was 5-6 years younger and thought he could beat that guy.
The guy is so conservative. That's what throws me off about that.
And then he gets to that point, it's like, oh. I get it, though.
I mean, he'll throw the ball out of bounds 20 out of 30 times to be conservative. But he has to get the end zone on this run. I just don't get it.
But, you're in that moment, man. And I think the adrenaline took over in that moment for him, because normally he's a smart player. And at that part of the game, that's when you gotta think on that one. But
if that's what you're gonna do, that's fine. You just gotta hold
Hold
on to
on
the
to the ball.
ball,
Yeah.
right? I mean, okay, you make the decision to maybe go for the gusto
Mhm.
at
You
some
gotta
point in
hold
the
on
game,
to it.
which, the close game,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, you
Yeah.
gotta, the fundamental of the play is holding on to
Yeah.
it.
And that fourth down play, I don't mind it because we weren't stopping them anyway. On our defense couldn't stop them. There's handing the ball off to Derrick Henry, and he's just running it down our throat. So
Certainly
why
didn't
not
make the
go for it?
situation any
Go
better, though.
for it. Get the points. We didn't get it in the very next play. They get the ball. Derrick Henry runs right down our throats. So, but then 2 plays with the very next play, Minka gets it back, and then Rush throws the interception.
And then on the fumble, they went 97 yards for a
Yeah,
touchdown.
yeah,
I mean,
that
it was
right
just
there.
nothing. It
You
was just
can't have that. You got to be able to. They're pinned deep. You gotta you gotta step up.
And as far as the fourth, we've done this before. This is the second or third time we've done this season. I could just gouge my eyes out every time that we do it. It hasn't worked for us yet. They bomb it on this. It was 4th and 2 last time. It was 4th and 5 this time. Bombing it, I think, is something you do the play before, perhaps maybe spread the defense out a little bit and then hit something quick on the inside, right across the middle, maybe something like that. I didn't think, and unless you're guaranteed that you're going to be able to draw the pass interference,
Yeah.
which maybe is what they were trying to do, get that pass interference down around the 5, which isn't out of the question. But again, it's a tough
Yeah.
gamble, because if you don't get it, you give the ball up in good position. That was another thing that what the fundamentals of
Mhm.
the game tell you. Do this because of this. It wasn't very fundamentally sound. Let me say good morning to Ralph on the board. Ralph Williams. Happy holidays to you, and Mike. Happy holidays to you, sir. He says, of course, the Williams fumble and Wilson fumble and interception. And Roger said, especially with Fields hurt. Yeah, I mean, come on, as we get healthier, guys, and again, not using it as an excuse, because they'll write me and they'll tell me, oh, everybody's injured. And
But
believe
they're
me, I know.
facts though. They play into it. When you're starting cornerback was once, before the game started, was your fourth, fifth string cornerback. That's going to have an effect on the game. That's going to, and on that deep,
Good morning to Mark Malone as
and
well.
on that deep pass to Calvin Austin, if it's thrown with less air and on a line, he had a step on the guy. I mean, it was there. It's just a bad throw. Again, execution.
At the end of the day, yeah. At the end of the day, I mean, it could have been a passing grade, but I think you have to fail it because of the results.
And that's how those calls always
Also,
work out. Like if they work, it's a great call. If they don't, it's a terrible call.
and again, you don't usually see teams doing that on 4th down in good field position for the other team, getting the ball right where they got it, down 7, fourth quarter. I mean, it was a bonehead call. But guys, let me move on. Brian did mention the TJ Watt earlier. I did want to throw this in there for you guys. TJ Watt has 18. I think I might have even told you this on the last day, but I'm not sure. I'm just putting it out there anyway because TJ Watt always gets some shade on this show. He has 18 Defensive Player of the Year award votes, 18 as we speak. Guys, Patrick Surtain has 3.5, McKinney has 3, Garrett has 3, and 4 others are tied with 1. So there you go. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the answer to the twat debate, the TJ Watt debate, but there you go. Those numbers are what they are. Also, here are the odds going into the weekend. This was before we played our games, guys. This was the odds for to win the AFC. Odds to be the team from the AFC to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. Kansas City went into the weekend 33%, Buffalo 27%, Baltimore 13%, and the Steelers 9% are your top 4 teams in the percentages that they're given to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. Mike, this is halftime. I do want to remind everybody, make sure they get on and vote. Vote for your favorite Steelers, because a lot of them are right at the top of the list. And if they're not at the list, there's a few guys that are just a few votes from being the top guy. So, I mean, Dante Jackson is doing great. And a lot of these guys get in. Make sure you vote for your favorite Pittsburgh Steeler. Get them into the Pro Bowl. Because I got to be honest, a lot of them deserve it. And again, there's only 2 teams in the AFC that are in a better position than we are. After what we just went through for the last 10 days, whatever it was, we are still in pretty damn good shape. Uh, the question is, the future. What do we got? What are we going to do against Kansas City? How are we going to finish up against Cincinnati? And what are we going to be able to do in the first round of the playoffs? All to be talked about plenty between now and then. Also, guys, the other I thought I had some other number here but I don't. Here's okay. So we're facing Patrick Mahomes. The guy had his ankle sprain. He was out about 6 hours. Next thing you know, he's back in the lineup, winning his 15th, 15th
Yeah.
game, 14-1. Alex Highsmith sprained his ankle. He was out for like 4 weeks. So we're getting the almighty, invincible Patrick Mahomes coming back. This Kansas City Chiefs team, guys, this Kansas City Chiefs team still has not scored over 30 points this season. They still at 14-1 have not scored over 30 points. The other 3 teams that haven't scored over 30 points, they have 2 wins, and 3 wins. So the 4 teams that haven't scored over 30 points, 2 wins, 3 wins, and 14-1. Make that make sense,
That
Mike.
makes no sense whatsoever. And of course, it would be them. It would be the Chiefs. It's the only team in the league that it would work for them in their favor.
Yeah.
I'd
never seen anything
no,
like
don't worry. They'll score like 45 this
Chiefs.
weekend or this one.
You know who I did see? Yeah, of course we've seen something like this. This was Tom Brady for 2 decades. We're just getting another dose of it. It's it's terrible.
I hate it. I used to like it.
And it's not that they're beating us.
I used to like it.
It's not that they're beating us. We can't sit around and go, oh, they're beating up. You know, it's not even that. We're not even sore because they beat us.
We're just sore because they keep winning.
Absolutely. Also, Mike, let me bust through through the weekend scores and divisions real quick, and then we'll move on. We did play most of the weekend already. We have a game tonight between the New Orleans Saints at the Green Bay Packers at 8:15 on Monday Night Football. Has very, very, very little, if nothing, to do with us. So we'll just get into these scores. Mike, we'll talk about that briefly. What the divisions look like. Who won the picks, because there already is a winner this week. I don't know where Derpy is. He went to Florida. And no one knows. Well, we know where he is.
But, attacked by the swamp people.
Maybe. We're Floridians. Very much different.
I know, right?
Let's see.
There, shit.
Let's get into these scores, Mike. The first games of the weekend, of course, were on Thursday. That was the Chargers did win over the Broncos in that game, 34-27. Then you get to the games on Saturday. The Kansas City Chiefs go 20. They win 27-19 to go 14-1 and have not scored more than 30 points all season. The Steelers, they take the L to the Ravens, of course, 34-17. The Atlanta Falcons back into first place with a loss last night by the Buccaneers, I do believe. Yeah, they took a loss last night, so that helps the Falcons out. They win against the Giants 34-7. The Giants, guys, there's been 13 teams to win in MetLife Stadium this year, and none of them were the Giants.
Ouch. That's not good.
The Lions bounced back from the Buffalo Bills loss. They win 34-17 over the Bears. The game that was the picks this week, Mike, was the Carolina Panthers beat the Cardinals in overtime. I thought this was going to come down to tiebreaker numbers, but the Panthers win 36-30, eliminating the Arizona Cardinals from the playoffs. That was an overtime game against Panthers 36, Cardinals 30. The Rams beat the Jets 19-9. The Kenny Pickett-led Philadelphia Eagles dropped the game to the Commanders 36-33. Cincinnati Bengals, a big win they needed, 24-6 over the Browns, keeps them alive in the playoff hunt. The Colts, a big win over Mason Rudolph and the Titans, 38-30, keeps them in the playoff hunt. The Minnesota Vikings, 27-24. Mike, the Vikings have the same record as the Lions do in that division. The Vikings and the Lions have the same record.
Who saw that coming from the Vikings, man? Oof.
Not me. I mean, I like the quarterback. You know, I like the quarterback, but I didn't expect them to be this good.
No, me either.
Mike, Buffalo Bills, they barely hold off the Patriots. Another thing, again, it's division, but at the end of the day, 24-21. That's got to be disappointing, considering we can't play the Bills without letting up 40 points. Also, Mike, two pretty bad teams: the Raiders 19, the Jaguars 14. The Dolphins keep their playoff hopes alive by knocking the 49ers out of the playoffs in a 29-17 win. And the Cowboys, although they won against the Buccaneers 26-24, I believe they was eliminated yesterday by another game. And again, the Monday night game tonight, Saints at Packers, that's at 8:15. And then we'll be right back at it 49 hours from right now. The Steelers will be kicking off on Christmas Day at 1 o'clock, hosting the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm sure Taylor Swift will be in the house. I think that it wasn't Jason Kelsey or somebody. Somebody's going to be announcing this. It's going to be a
Yeah.
big. It's going to be a spectacle. Saturday on Christmas, guys, and then 4:30 after that. The two teams that also played on Saturday with the Ravens and the Texans. They'll be facing off in Houston this week at 4:30 for the second game on Christmas. So, guys, this NFL season is heating up. It's going to be over before you know it, which is unbelievable because we count down the moments every year to for the season to get here. Here we are, guys. We're just a few days away from there only being one game left in our regular season, and it's getting there fast, Mike. It's getting there fast. We have to figure out something, and we have to figure out something pretty quick because these games that were a trial turn into meaningful games where you go home after you lose pretty soon. So we have to figure out what it is that we're going to do. I mean, obviously, everybody wants to get healthy, but it's going to come down to trying to figure out a game plan and strategy to win those games. And we won big games so far this year. We beat Lamar and the Ravens. We beat this Commanders team, and they're the highest scoring team in the league. We did some very good things. Again, you can't just look at the last 2 days with a bunch of players that are out. Understand that, that's not an excuse. Mark Malone said it's Tomlin logic. Also, Phil the Steel says more TJ Watt highlights to come. F the Watt haters. Let them keep watching The View instead of football. I don't know who that could have been toward, but it was funny nonetheless.
Yeah, never.
Also, Ralph says Terrell Austin is Mike Tomlin's yes man when the opposing team has the ball on their own 1-yard line. Austin never gets a blitz, could get a safety and get the ball back. I mean, those are good points as well. It's again, they have to figure it out. They have 2 days to try to get this Kansas City thing figured out. And then we got again a nice time off to get ready for the Bengals, and then after that it will be either a home or away in the playoffs. So that's the difference, guys. So don't bail out on these guys if they lose. Again, the difference between what us and the Ravens have going on is a home and an away game. That's the difference. We win out, or we get the division, we play home in the first round. If we don't, they play home in the first round. At the end of the day, you still have to go out and win that first round game. So at the end of the day, I don't put too much on this, guys. It is what it is. We are good. We're 10-5. We're in first place. We're in the playoffs. We have the tiebreaker against the Ravens. Things, again, could be a lot worse.
Could be a whole hell of a lot worse.
Absolutely. Mike, let's get into the grades and game ball.
Oh, God. We have
to. It's about that time. If you have to give somebody a game on this Pittsburgh Steelers team, like who would it have been from this past week?
Calvin Austin, it's because he's showing up. He took another big hit along the sidelines, made another nice catch along the sidelines. He's
a little beast, absolutely.
He's a little beast. He's playing. He's stepping up, man, in that receiving core. He's showing that, my God, once you get Pickens back, that he down the stretch, he's going to be a valuable component to this offense. And then, next year too, just the leap and bounds that he should take next year too. So yeah, I'm going to give the game ball to Calvin Austin because you have to give it to someone, don't you?
Yeah, you sure do. You know what? You see what happens when he keeps it himself.
Yep.
Also, I'm going to give my game ball to Minkah Fitzpatrick. Everybody's been calling on this dude. He hasn't done much in years. You know what? He got a nice interception, and if it wasn't for us throwing a pick six on the ensuing drive, it might have resulted in better. But you know what? He did get a pick at a key point in the game, which could have been a turning point. It wasn't. But my game ball for what it is going to Minkah. He did step it up when 3/4 of his help was not in that lineup. Mike, let's hop over to the grades of this game. Quarterback, what do you give the quarterback play in this game against Baltimore?
I'm gonna give him a D plus. The 2 key turnovers, man. Like before that fumble, I thought Russ was playing a hell of a game, and then from there it just snowballed away. It was his worst performance since he came here.
All right, D plus. Mike, let's go to the running back room. Again, Warren went 12 for 48. Najee goes 9 for 42. No touchdowns for either one of these fellas. Again, they get roughly their 100 yards combined. That's what they do. What do you give this running back room, Mike? Again, 117 to 220 was how it broke down. They ran for 220. We ran for 117. Grade the running backs.
And then he's factor in Jalen Warren's 5 catches, 44 yards. I thought he played a hell of a game. I'm gonna give that running back room a B minus. I think most of it for me is from Jalen Warren. What he did in run game and the pass game and pass protection, B minus.
All right, let's go to the tight ends. Tight ends were pretty invisible this week. Pat Fryermuth and Darnell Washington. I didn't see them
No.
Anywhere. Mike, did they have any catches? I don't know if they did. Tight ends.
Muth had three
What
for
do you give these
3
guys?
for 16. I just read Artie Smith said they had plays designed for Fryermuth, but the teams were, were keying on Fryermuth. They were taking him away. What Prude had that nice touchdown catch, but outside of that, man, they didn't do a whole hell of a lot. I'm just going to give them a C minus. They showed up. They didn't disappoint, but they didn't overwhelm. They C minus.
All right. Well, you got to remember, teams focus on Travis Kelce, and the guy still gets it done. Bottom line, tight ends didn't get it done. Pruitt again, he did get the touchdown. But Mike, let's move on. The wide receiver room, 10 different guys did catch the ball this game. Mike Williams caught some. Again, Calvin Austin caught 4 catches for 65 yards. He led the way.
Yeah.
Patterson and Pruitt, they both did they got touchdowns. Mike, what do you give? Did Van Jefferson, was he even in the game? Mike, what do you give these wide receivers?
Van had 2 for 27 on 3 targets. I'm going to give him a C minus. Like you said,
which is nothing.
Yeah, a lot of guys caught balls, but you go back, you watch that film, they weren't getting any very little separation, from the defenders. So it was just C minus, D plus in that range.
All right, offensive line. I don't know how many times a week I just want to go out there and strangle Broderick Jones, take him by his neck and just strangle him. 2 rookies, Broderick Jones, an actual NFL starter. Come on. What do you give this offensive line for their performance, Mike? I got to be honest. You didn't see Russell early. You did. You seen him, kind of getting flushed out of the pocket a lot. But as the game went on, they held up well for the run. Russell Wilson wasn't on his back all afternoon. So, Mike, what do you give this offensive line?
I'm keeping it in that C minus range, man. Like you said, there were some plays where that nice clean pockets. Other places like, quarterbacks aren't getting enough time to throw, and some of those runs they had nice holes open. Other times they weren't. It was just, they did it like the theme was execution, and no one executed this game consistently, and that's why they played poorly, and that's where they lost. So I'm gonna give them a C minus, D plus in that range. It was piss poor execution, man. Inconsistent.
Piggy banking off of your piss poor execution. Let's grade this defensive line. Cam Hayward, supposedly the best defensive tackle in the game. That's what they tell us at the beginning of the game at the bottom of the screen. He's 1 out of 100, whatever. Mike, of course, Larry Ogunjobi didn't play. You had some Travius Adams. You had the other guy, Dean Lowry. Also,
Keanu Benton.
But Mike, come on, defensive line. Keanu Benton.
Yeah. Like Cam showed up early in that first drive or two, but then after that, he was invisible. A lot of those guys.
He was wore out.
Yeah.
The guy didn't. I mean, Mike, instead of firing off the ball, he was standing straight up.
And a lot of those guys, you go back and watch their run plays. A lot of it was one-on-one single blocking. They couldn't beat the man in front of them. They could not execute. It was like things that they were doing. 3 weeks ago, they just weren't doing this week. It was just a piss poor showing by those guys. So that front three, they're getting a big fat F when you give up 222 yards rushing. You give up something like 13 runs over 10 yards or more. Get the F out of here.
All right. Roger says, I have a question, guys. If Najee is not re-signed, can Jalen Warren be the focal running back? I don't think so.
And
I don't think so. I think
they're both splitting time. You're gonna have to get someone who can split time.
Well,
I think he needs another running back.
All teams have multiple running backs to split time. I think that these two, they complement each other perfectly. I wish that you would keep Najee just to have these 2 running backs, because again, there's no guarantee that you're going to bring somebody in who performs better. You could bring somebody in and they don't perform as well. So at the end of the day, I think no. I think Mike thinks yeah, but that is our opinions.
Yeah,
Mike. What's that?
I think we can. I think Warren could be the focal back.
And I think he's insane. So there you go. Different
You
opinions.
know, I am insane. We know this. Everyone knows.
Linebackers, Mike. Let's grade the linebackers. Patrick Queen,
Ooh.
he was all over the place. Patrick Queen almost had the most tackles for the Steelers. He had a total of 8, but they were split between 4 and 4. So KZ technically had 7 whole tackles to himself. Mike, the linebacker core, TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith with the sack. You even seen Mark Robinson in there a couple points during the game.
Yeah.
Mike, what do you give the linebackers for their game?
They're getting a D. It was like they were so inconsistent. A lot of that stuff happened. Like the Heisman sack happened early, the pressures happened early. Then all of a sudden, it just stopped. It just stopped. A lot of bad reads on the read options. Like, and if they read it correctly, there was no other backup help for them. So it was just a badly executed. And like Patrick Queen said after the game, you know, guys need to play their assignments, not try and do what they want to do. Like he was saying, like everyone on the defense was, you know, guys just weren't firing on all cylinders, and you saw it.
They played like shit. No two ways about it.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, they played like shit.
Defensive backs, Mike. Again, you had 3/4 of your starting defensive backfield out with injury. You had Minka, who has been underperforming lately. What do you give this DB room, Mike? And then you got to also throw in your Beanie Bishops and your Corey Trices. And what do you give the DBs? 198 yards. Jackson threw for 207 total. 3 touchdowns though.
Yeah. The 3 touchdowns, a big fat D, and you saw like the miscommunication, like on the touchdown to Likely, Minka Fitzpatrick not moving off the ball. Another one, I think it was to who was it? The guy who had the touchdown in the middle field might have been Bateman or Andrews. Like Kazee just completely let go and went somewhere else, not knowing his assignment or just bailing on his assignment. Yeah, it was bad. They get a big fat D.
All right, Mike, let's get into special teams. Anything worth talking about special teams? I think we made all of our field goals. The punts were fine. The returns were fine. I don't think anything really stood out as far as special teams, did they?
Maybe that kickoff out of bounds that totally changed the complexion
of
the
game. Kickoff out of bounds.
Yeah, I thought you were going to like sarcastically lead into that. Yeah, you right. Know, you want to
the guy can kick from 60 yards away, something that's this wide. There's a thing this wide he has to kick through during the course of the game from 60 yards away. He nails it, but he can't keep it in the field of play on a kickoff. Come on, man. That's a big fail for me, Mike. What do you give the special teams? I say whatever you give them, you got to take down a grade because of that.
I'm giving them a D because that changed the complexion of the game.
It did.
Waitman had a good game, but Boz right there, that was a big swing in the game right there. You know, you set them up with fucking good field position that throws off the momentum of the game. It was, again, execution. These
That's what I'm saying. Nobody played well. All the way down to Boswell kicking off the football. Nobody played well.
Yeah, it's like get the F out of here.
Coaching, Mike, what do you give the coaching staff for the game on Saturday?
C-. I don't think they were out coached. I think that guys just didn't execute. Like, you know, the decision to go for it on 4th down, yeah, that's a debatable one. I give you that, but like there was like no real boneheaded plays, no boneheaded time management, no boneheaded like.
So everybody else gets D's and the coaches get a C.
I said C-. Okay. C-.
Finally,
like at some point, players have to execute. If you can't execute basic things of beating the guy in front of you, that's on you.
All right, let's go to the overall, Mike. What's up?
I think there's nothing glaring overall in the coaching.
Okay, no, you gave your grade. Mike, let's go to the overall. What did you give this team as an overall grade for their game against the Ravens? Again, this was definitely the worst Ravens, the Steeler performance against the Ravens in the last 10 games. No two ways about it. We are 8-2 in the last 10. We were 8 of 9. Now we're 8-2 in the last 10. So again, at the end of the day, who cares? They're supposed to beat us at some point if they want to continue to be a rivalry. Yeah. Otherwise, they just turn into the Browns.
Yeah.
Mike, overall, what do you grade this team?
D+, C- in that range. D+.
All right. Fair enough. Guys, before we do move on, I do want to mention tomorrow, be sure to join us at 11 o'clock. It is our Christmas Eve special. Chucky Jacoby, the former Steeler and Super Bowl champion, will be right here with us talking about the state of the Steelers tomorrow on Christmas Eve. Show starts at 11 a.m. Be sure to join us. Mike, into some other things here as we get ready to close in on Christmas. Just a little over a day away, I guess you could say, because this time tomorrow it'll be less than a day. So it's almost Christmas. I wonder where my French hens and turtle doves are. But I think we'll just focus on football. Mike, here's some scoop from around the NFL. The sorry, what's his name? Saquon Barkley has only 268 more yards to go. Mike, 268 in his last 2 games, and he does break Eric Dickerson's record. 268 more to go. So that's he's close. I mean, if anybody could do it, it's him, right?
Yeah, it's him. The Cowboys and Giants have nothing to play for, and if it's are those teams going to show up? Do they, are they going to have some pride and like?
But it's division, though.
It's division. Do they not want him to get that record against him and all that? If Jalen Hurts is out and Kenny has to play, everyone's going to key in on that box right there. So he's going to be having more 8-9 man boxes to run against. So it's going to be interesting. I hope he gets it. I hope he gets it. But it's a big Saquon Barkley fan since he was in college. So I hope he gets it. And it's always fun to see records fall, especially for that one that's been for how long? My God.
Yeah, so we'll see what he could do. Again, facing off against 2 NFC East teams. It should be very interesting to see how that breaks down. I'm trying to look for something here real quick, Mike. The Cincinnati Bengals, this was before they played yesterday. Their playoff it played out like this. Yesterday, if you win out, they have to beat the Browns, the Broncos, and then the Steelers, which they beat the Browns. They need the Broncos to lose their last 2 games. They play the Bengals and the Chiefs. Then it is possible for the Cincinnati Bengals, like the Bengals to make it to the playoffs, which could be a good thing for the Steelers, maybe, just depending on how things play out and how seeding goes. Also, another interesting thing around the league, Mike, I always talk about my conspiracy theories and just my just overall suspicion of the NFL since the gambling entities jumped into bed with the league. Mike, David Montgomery's season prop was set at 775.5 yards. David Montgomery's season rushing prop was set at 775.5. He suffered a knee injury that sidelined him for the rest of the season. Mike with exactly 775 yards, 1/2 of yard short on his season rushing prop bet. Mike, am I crazy, or is these things just becoming to be a little too much coincidence for you as well?
That one, I think
by 1/2 yard, Mike.
1/2 yard, yeah, but he was injured. They go out there and like, hey, blow out this guy's knee.
Mike, he could have ran for 10 less yards or 5 more yards. Mike, 1/2 a yard of his prop bet, 1/2 of a yard,
and he was injured. Like,
what's the chances?
But he still had like 3 games to go before he got hurt.
Mike, that's the point. He got hurt. Now he's under, and he's not going to be able to go over. That's the point.
But he was on track to go over before he got hurt.
That's the point. That's where the Vegas comes in. The fact that he was short by 1/2 a yard. So that's all I'm saying. It's very, very, very unusual. Man, I cannot find what I'm looking for. It was somewhere that Patrick Mahomes was talking about what Patrick Mahomes gave his linemen, and he gave him like all this crazy, Rolexes and things like that. Because a lot of times quarterbacks gift their linemen with things and thank them. Joe Burrow, he gifted his offensive line with samurai swords.
Yeah,
he let them all go pick out their own custom samurai swords and gave each one of his linemen a samurai sword.
I love it. Yeah, because I was going to say when you were trying to figure out what Mahomes got, I was going to say I was going to bring that up. I was like, yeah, one of the quarterbacks. I couldn't remember who it was, but yeah, that is awesome. That's like outside of like shotguns and pickup trucks, samurai swords. That's the next thing I would get my offensive linemen, because those guys are fucking nuts, and that's who I want to have swords.
Mahomes gave Rolexes, Oakleys, Yeti coolers, Lucci's boots, and Norma Tech recovery boots. That were some of the things in his packages. But I like the samurai sword because what are you ever going to do with it? But it'd still be pretty cool to have.
Hell yeah, you hang that up over your mantelpiece, because they ain't going to have any trophies to put up there. So you might as well have something badass.
Exactly. Let's see, where are we at? Bengals quarterbacks.
Bengals.
Here's one for you. I don't know. Roger says Purdy gave trucks.
Like, how the hell could Brock Purdy afford that? He's like on the That
I know he's still not even out of
yeah,
his
he's
rookie
on that,
contract.
the Mr. Irrelevant contract money. But he buy him Tonka trucks. But that is kind of cool though. He now see again. All right, now that's a top five. That's a top five gift for your O line right there. Pickup truck. Purdy's thinking.
I'd rather have a samurai sword. I got to be
Oh,
honest
I
with
know,
you,
me
but all
too, me
right.
too. But my God, those are. What else would you get in offensive lineman outside of a gun, a sword, a truck?
A few other things here, Mike. The free kick in last Thursday's game. There haven't been one in like
Yes,
67 years or something. That was pretty cool to get to see that. I've never seen it in my
I've
life. I don't even still know if I fully understand and why it's never happened before in my life.
it's
But apparently, if you get what, go ahead,
if you
Sam.
do a fair catch, you have the option for a free kick from wherever you catch it.
Why have you never heard this? Why has nobody even ever said this before in my life? Why has that
I,
never been those words ever been said on my television screen while
I've heard
watching
it.
somebody
I've
get
heard it
interfered
in
with
the
a fair
past
catch?
mentioned, but usually, when you're getting a fair catch at the end of the half, you're so far out of the field goal range. But now kickers are kicking further, and what a 10-yard, 15-yard penalty that helped bring it closer. Oh, I wanted to see this my entire life. I woke up to this news on Twitter before I went into work. I was the happiest person in the world. I've always wanted to see it happen. Now I finally did. I can die a happy man.
I found it I found it pretty underwhelming, but okay. Also, Mike, volleyball, the Penn State Nittany Lions, the unlikely team, they win against who they beat? Nebraska, and then they go on to beat Louisville, who beat Pitt. Mike, the Penn State Nittany Lion girls are the national champions.
Hey, baby, we got a natty this year. I don't care if it's women's volleyball. I don't care. Usually it's, wrestling, we win. Football doesn't matter, baby. Penn State is now a volleyball school, baby. We are the
Now you sound like Ohio
right.
State.
I'll keep moving the goalposts to make myself happy, make my university look good.
Mike, also,
I'm
let's
just
see.
glad we didn't have to face
Pitt's
Pitt. I think if Pitt would have made it, they probably would have won.
Pitt's Olivia Babcock did win National Player of the Year. The Pens back in action over the weekend. They lose 3-0 to the Devils. They're back in action tonight. They host the Philadelphia Flyers. Flyers come in with a 15-15-4 record, and the Penguins have a 15-15-5 record. Mike, this should be one of the most even games so far. Maybe the Penguins could get a win. That game starts at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, it should be pretty good.
And
Penguins.
finally, college.
I was gonna say the Penguins are
Go ahead.
turning their season around, man. They are turning it around.
It's because they got P.O. Joseph.
POJ, baby.
Now they're competitive
Hell
again.
yeah.
All right, guys, college football the other day, the Ohio State Buckeyes, number 6, they beat the number 7 Tennessee Volunteers 42-17. The number 3 Texas Longhorns beat the number 16 Clemson Tigers 38-24. The number 4 Nittany Lions of Penn State, they beat the number 10 Mustangs of SMU 38-10. And Notre Dame on Friday night, number 5 Notre Dame, they beat the number 8 Indiana 27-17. So this means on Tuesday the 31st, Penn State will be facing off against the number 9 Boise State. On Wednesday the 1st, New Year Day, Texas will be taking on the number 12 Arizona State. Ohio State will be taking on the number 1 Oregon, also on New Year's Day. And finally, also on New Year's Day, Notre Dame will be taking on the number 2 Georgia Bulldogs. I like this new format, Mike. I like more teams. I like the chances. More teams have chances to go, but you're seeing a lot of blowouts. So is it really working? You see what I'm saying? Should those teams that lost, should they have even been there? That's going to be the question. Moving forward, while people have this debate about college playoffs, I personally like it. I like the rounds. I like beating a team to get to the championship. I think that this could be eventually really, really big for college
Yeah,
football.
me too. And like the blowouts happened under the BCS. People are just now upset that the SEC doesn't have more teams. That's all it is. And there's a lot of whining and crying that Indiana got blown out, SMU got blown out. But the minute Tennessee got their shit packed in, all that whining and crying stopped all of a sudden. As soon as it was an SEC team getting fucked.
All right. And finally, in college football, West Virginia quarterback Garrett Green entering the NFL draft as a wide receiver. You don't see that too often, Mike. The quarterback is entering as a wide receiver.
Well, that's what I can remember. Antoine Randall L.
And finally, Mike, you did this week, in fact, win the picks. You won by The Carolina-Arizona game, which went to overtime, 3 points. Carolina, or 6 points, I believe, 36-30. Carolina wins that game. Mike, you did win the pick of the week. So, Mike, when we go back for the next round, you pick first, and you get the advantage over Derpy, and maybe break his chain of advantage.
I got to do something here. I'm regrouping. I got to pull it together down the stretch here. I was picking like I was the Pittsburgh Steelers. Not good, but I rebounded like they will.
All right, Mike, why don't you go and tell everybody about the website?
The2dumyusers.com. Check it out, everyone. You know what's going on over there. Merch store, the blog, links to all of our stuff, links to the Discord over there. So check it out at the2dumyusers.com.
A lot of cool stuff over there, guys. www.the2dumyusers.com. Go check out the merchandise. We do have the new Derpy Boom shirt up there, and just in time for Christmas. Go check it out. A lot of cool things over at www.the2dumyusers.com. All right, let's get into the trivia of the day, guys. A very short Kansas City trivia this week. It isn't going to be all week long. Of course, just today and tomorrow. This is the trivia of the day. Of course, how well do you know your enemy is the theme of our trivia here on the show. This is a Kansas City Chief trivia because that is who the Steelers are playing. Mike, put on your thinking caps. Everybody on the board and people at home, here we go. Which Kansas City Chief quarterback holds the record for most passing yards in a game? I'm looking for the Kansas City Chiefs quarterback that holds the record for most passing yards. I might take a minute to think that over. We're live 5 days a week right here, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, all week long right here on YouTube. However, this week it is just going to be Monday and Tuesday because of the holiday. And then after Christmas is over, we're going to take a few-day break, come back next Monday, get ready for the Cincinnati game, and then go straight from there, guys. It's going to be the new year. Got a whole bunch of new things coming up this year. It's insane. I think you guys are going to love. So do continue to stick around with us. Question of the day is this, guys. Here we go. Which Chiefs quarterback holds the team record for most passing yards in a game? Mike, do you have any guesses?
I'm gonna go Alex Smith. And Mahomes just seems like the obvious answer. You look through curveballs here, so I'm gonna go with Alex Smith.
All right, Alex Smith. Is that your final answer?
Final answer.
All right, I'm gonna lock you in. You were locked in on Alex Smith. All right, guys. We'll see any guests on the board, so I'm going to continue on. Which Chiefs quarterback holds the team record for most passing yards in a game? Roger Murray does say on the board. He does say Alex Smith as well. Maybe I'll give another second or something, just in case anybody does want to take a shot at it. Phil Steele doesn't know. Guys, which quarterback for the Chiefs holds the record for most passing yards in a game? I'll give you the numbers, and then I'll give you the answer. It was for 504 yards and a loss against the Raiders in 2000. It was a 504-yard game and a loss to the Raiders in 2000. The answer, the person that has the most passing yards in a game for the Chiefs, the record, 504 yards, is Elvis Gerbach.
Wow.
Gerbach.
There's a name I haven't heard in years.
Can you imagine this Chiefs dynasty and all the amazing things they've had going over the past 5 years and pretty good stuff over the duration of the team's history? Elvis Gerbach being your guy that's passed for more yards than anybody in a single game. And those Raiders were good, mind you. That was a good Raider team, 2000. That was who went to the Super Bowl and eventually went to the Super Bowl and played Tampa Bay.
Gerbach.
So Rich Gannon and Tim Brown and all them guys. Yes, Elvis Gerbach, guys. That is the answer. What else? We do make sure you join us tomorrow, everybody. Tomorrow we do have a special Christmas gift for our viewers. Former Steeler and Super Bowl champion Chucky Jacoby will be right here talking to us tomorrow about the Steelers, the state of the Steelers moving forward and getting ready to head into the playoffs. Do not miss tomorrow. Chucky Jacoby will be right here with us. It's going to be a great time. I can't wait for that, Mike.
I can't wait.
You got anything before we start getting ready to wrap things up, man?
I got nothing, man. I just, let's put this loss behind us. Let's move on. It's Chiefs, baby.
Are you all ready for Christmas?
I am ready for Christmas. I just got to wrap the presents, but, usually do that Christmas Eve.
Did you get your French hens and turtle doves ready?
Yeah, I did. It was tough, rounding up the French hens, but I
Yeah,
got him contained. I showed better contained than the Steelers, front four against Lamar and Derrick Henry.
I like it. I do want to say thank you to everybody for coming and hanging out and checking us out today. We do appreciate each and every one of you. We really, really certainly do. We wouldn't do it without you. We want to thank every single one of you so much. Thank you. And I do want to say thank you to everybody on the board. You guys always keep things interesting, and everybody at home as well. Again, the Steelers take the loss 34-17. I'm not surprised. Again, there's a part of me that at some point I wanted the Ravens to win, just so again, it was turning into the Browns game, the Browns series.
Yeah.
We were up 8 of the last 9. Now we're up 8 of the last 10. I'll still take that. But you know what? We're in first place, 10-5. Again, only 2 AFC teams in better shape than we are. We have the tiebreaker of the Ravens at the moment. Still a lot of good things going on. If we get this win in Kansas City, guys, we're going to be sitting in good shape. Which I don't rule it out of the question. Also, again, tomorrow, of course, we will be back for the special Christmas Eve Chucky Jacoby episode. But in the meantime, there is tonight, Monday Night Football. The Saints will be at Lambeau to take on the Green Bay Packers. That game is at 8:15. Also, the Penguins back in action, Mike, in a pretty, a rival game with their rivals, just like the Steelers and the Ravens. The Philadelphia Flyers come to town to take on the Penguins tonight at 7 o'clock. So some good stuff on tonight as you wrap your presents and do your running around and finishing up all that kind of stuff to get ready for Wednesday. But Mike, I think if the Chiefs win, that's what's going to constitute a good Christmas. That's what will make me say, you know what, this was a great Christmas this year. If we get this win over the Chiefs, I'll be really excited. And I think a lot of people that are fans of the black and gold will certainly be excited too.
Oh yeah, couldn't have said it better myself.
Mike, let's see. So for Mike, the original Washington Headskin, for Mike, Dome Thugs and Harmony, for Mike, Hetty Munster, and myself, the two dumb Yinzers. Everybody have a great Monday. We'll be back tomorrow again. Again, Chucky Jacoby, the former Steeler and Super Bowl champion, will be right here with us tomorrow to talk about the Steelers. Do join us tomorrow, and then that'll be it for a few days, and then we'll be back, I believe, the beginning of next week to get ready for the Bengals, and that will be our Christmas break. So tomorrow will be the last day. Mike in the Steeler Central Mobile Studio, myself, the two dumb Yinzers. Everybody have a great Monday. Stay safe, stay warm, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.